Good morning to all and welcome to the session. The Hindu Editorial Analysis for Proficiency in English. Today's editorial is all about recovery of Indian economy, an important editorial. I have been telling you guys, whenever you come across an editorial that goes with Indian economy, you have to spend some time. One of the reasons, whether it is prelims or mains, quite often they give passages related to economy. That way, this is an important editorial, and there are so many words, more than 15 words, in fact, to learn. Some of these words are fragile, we have got many a time. String, it goes with everyday English. Lurched, a new word. Healing, this also goes with everyday or conversational English. Afflicted, we have got many a time. Trajectory goes with formal English. Today, you're going to work on exam topics, practice questions based on exam topics. At the outset, they are quite challenging. What are these practice questions based on exam topics? You're going to work on errors, fillers, para-jumble, cloze test, idioms, and as usual, editorial words. Now let us go to the editorial and see what is there to learn. As I said, this editorial is all about Indian economy, specifically a recovery of Indian economy. It starts with the recovery toolkit. You all know the word recovery. We experience a problem and or a disaster or a mishap. After that, we try to recover. So because of the pandemic, because of COVID-19, today, this editorial, the impact of COVID 19, we all know. Based on that, this talks about the economy got badly affected, and based on that, recovery, Indian economy, recovery of Indian economy. But what is a toolkit? In this context, recovery toolkit means the policy or the strategies or the approach to recover, to make Indian economy fully recover. What is the main idea of the editorial? The economic recovery remains fragile. At the outset, it says the situation is not all that positive. The present scenario is still a little precarious or dangerous. The economic recovery remains fragile. A rebooting tax policy may help. Whenever the editorial talks about a particular problem, it always talks about the solution. So the main idea, it talks about the fragile situation or scenario related to the recovery of the economy. The economic recovery remains fragile. We have got the word fragile many a time. What does it mean? Of an object easily broken or damaged. In this context, it is not an object. It is all about Indian economy right now, because still we are talking about the third wave and economy hasn't recovered fully. The editorial feels the situation is fragile, delicate. And what is the solution to completely come out of this fragile situation or precarious situation? A rebooting tax policy may help. A reboot, you all know this word goes with computer language. And in this context, it means to do something drastic or to come up with innovative ideas so that related to tax policy that may help the economy recover completely. Now, let us see how it goes about. The latest string of official numbers, including almost a record GST collections, healthy direct tax inflows, strong manufacturing and exports, provide some confidence that the economy has lurched back from the danger zone for the second time in less than a year, owing to the COVID 19 pandemic. Again, we all know because of the pandemic, not only Indian economy across the world, many economies have got badly affected, and COVID-19 has made a tremendous negative impact. But this talks about the editorial starts on a positive note. The latest string of official numbers. There's one word over here, string. Usually it goes with everyday English, and it means if you take beads and you tie them to a thread, then we call it a string of beads. But in this context, a set of things tied or threaded together on a thin cord. Usually that is a meaning. Here, string of official numbers means series of official numbers, including almost a record GST collections. This sentence talks about something positive. A record GST collections, one thing, Healthy direct tax inflows, second thing. Strong manufacturing and exports. Strong manufacturing, very important for the recovery of the economy. And strong exports, also very important. All these, the four things, provide some confidence because these have been on a positive note. These provide some confidence that the economy has lurched back from the danger zone. Lurch, there is one important word. An abrupt, uncontrolled movement. Abrupt means sudden. An abrupt, uncontrolled movement, especially an unsteady tilt or roll. That is a literal meaning. But in this context, lurched back from the danger zone means what? Came out of the danger zone for the second time, not the first time, the second time in less than a year owing to the COVID 19 pandemic. But the healing is still too uneven. Though economy has recovered, not completely, so the sentence says, but the healing, the four areas they show some positive growth, and this is not even the editorial feels, but the healing is still too uneven, even opposite uneven. And the word healing also it goes with everyday English. What does it mean? Become sound or healthy again. You get wounded and after some time it heals. That means it becomes normal or healthy again. In this context it talks about the economy, but the healing is still too uneven. GST revenues in October for transactions done in September crossed 1.3 lakh crore. Usually writers when they make a statement they try to substantiate. Here there is a particular statement. What is it? But the healing is still too uneven. To substantiate that statement, a few sentences have been provided. Facts and figures have been provided. GST revenues in October for transactions done in September crossed 1.3 lakh crore. The finance ministry believes this kitty would have been higher. So something not very positive, 1.3 lakh crore. Then he talks about the finance ministry believes this kitty would have been kitty. Usually it goes with everyday English. There is one expression, kitty party. So what is this? What is the meaning of the word kitty in this context? A fund of money for communal use made up of contributions from a group of people. But in this context, it means the amount generated, the finance generated through GST. So the finance ministry believes this kitty would have been higher if sales of cars and products dependent on chips were not afflicted by shortages. There was a problem, shortages. So it talks about a condition. Whenever you see the word if, think of conditionals. This should have been in past conditional. Main clause is in past. Would plus have plus verb, past participle form. But if clause, it should be in past perfect. It is not in past perfect. It is in past. So that goes with the Hindu style. The finance ministry believes this kitty would have been higher if sales of cars and products dependent on chips were not afflicted by shortages. So, afflicted by shortages, there's another important word, afflicted. What does it mean? Of a problem or illness cause pain or trouble, affect adversely, afflicted by shortages means what? Affected adversely by shortages. If September's activity reflects pre festive stocking, the actual festive spending, October November, may keep GST numbers propped up, but it would be crucial to wait for the post celebration trajectory. This talks about usually the festival time, the festival period, October November. This talks about that. If September's activity reflects pre festive stocking, so pre festive may not be very high, but the actual festive spending, that is the time people spend, and the time October, November, may keep GST numbers propped up. There's one important word over here, prop up. Means what? Support or keep in position. But it would be critical to wait for the post celebration trajectory. But we have to wait only after the festival period. We can celebrate, we can decide post celebration trajectory. After the festival, whether it has gone up or not. And there's one important word, trajectory. In this context, actually, the word goes with physics, but in this context, you can take it as the path, the growth, the curve, the growth curve. October has offered, now it talks about October. October has offered mixed signals. There's one important expression. Generally, it goes with mixed feelings, means what? Both positive and negative. Here, October has offered mixed signals so far. Manufacturing has been a surge in output and new orders, domestic and global, but continues to shed jobs as per the IHS Market Purchasing Managers Index. When you come across the expression mixed signals or mixed feelings, you should understand both positive and negative. In this context, what is positive? Manufacturing has been a surge in output and new orders. That is positive. There is one important word surge, means what? Sudden increase, one of the meanings, sudden forward movement. Surge in output and new orders, domestic and global, that is positive, but contrasting information continues to shed jobs as per the IHS Market Purchasing Managers Index. Here, shed has many meanings. Usually, it goes with animals. Snakes shed skin periodically, cat sheds fur, and here shed means to get rid of something. So, shed jobs going in for layoffs. Moreover, manufacturing rivals, one more negative dimension. Moreover, India's manufacturing rivals, Vietnam and Indonesia, have seen a sharper rise. Diesel consumption, a better indicator of commercial throughput, has been lower than October 2020, while credit growth, rail passenger revenues, and traffic congestion have been insipid. A lengthy sentence, but easy to understand. So it talks about the negative dimension. Moreover, manufacturing rivals Vietnam and Indonesia have seen a sharper rise. Then it talks about diesel consumption, a better indicator of commercial throughput. We have got this expression for the first time. Throughput, do remember an important one. What does it mean? The rate of production or the rate at which something is processed. In this context, rate of production, the commercial throughput has been lower than 2020 October 2020, while the credit growth, rail passenger revenues, and traffic congestion have been insipid. Insipid, an important word. What does it mean? Lacking flavor, but not in this context. Weak or tasteless. Insipid, not tasteless, not literally. Weak, you can take it as weak. Not very strong. India's exports have held strong. Now, again, positive. All these go with the statement mixed uh, results or mixed, you see here, signals. Some positive, some negative. India's exports have held strong, but the import bill is rising too as coal, fuel, and edible oil prices shoot up. Again, in the same sentence, you see positive and negative. What is positive here? Exports have held strong. That is something positive. But the import bill is rising too. On the one hand, exports are going up. On the other hand, the import bill also shooting up. A reason coal, fuel, and edible oil prices shoot up. A hovering fertilizer, hovering a new word, usually it goes with aircraft, but here it means remain in one place in the air. In this context, it means being static, no growth, no change at all. A hovering fertilizer crisis, and it also means it is there all the time. It is there all the time as a sort of threat. Hovering fertilizer crisis could yet dampen Rabi crop and hit farm sector growth. So this talks about there's another word dampen. Damp walls, usually a rainy season we use the word damp. The walls are very damp, means a little wet. Another meaning of the word damp, it means make less strong or intense. So in this context, it talks about the second meaning, make less strong or intense. Hovering fertilizer crisis could yet dampen Rabi crop and hit farm sector growth. While that could trip rural demand, because of that, rural demand may come down. Rising oil prices pose a persistent threat to growth. Rising oil prices, definitely a persistent threat to growth, always existing. One understands the resource starved government's preference for certain non discretionary revenue flows, such as those arising from. There are two words over here. One is starved. Usually, the word starve, starving, starved to death, suffer or die, or cause to suffer or die from hunger. You don't have food for 1 or 2 days, then what do you say? I'm starving. And it gets extended. People say he is starving to death, or beyond that, they may die. Then we say he starved to death. So, government starved, government's preference. In this context, a resource is starved. shortage of resources, preference for certain non-discretionary revenue flows, such as those arising from discretionary, non-discretionary. This is an important word. Discretionary means what? Left to the individual choice or judgment. In this context, it is the government's decision or judgment. Government's preference for certain non-discretionary revenue flows, such as those arising from fuel consumption, over the less certain discretionary consumption revenues based on households' aspirations and confidence levels about the immediate future. It talks about differentiating between discretionary consumption and non discretionary, the two dimensions. But the longer term impact of the former, constricting the latter, would be worse, as it also puts paid to hopes of a substantial investment pickup. This talks about what should be preferred. Is it government prefers non discretionary revenue flows, such as those arising from fuel consumption? That is on the one hand. On the other hand, it talks about discretionary consumption revenues based on households' aspirations and confidence levels about the immediate future. So it is between which one to be preferred. Is it discretionary or non discretionary? The government is in favor of non discretionary, that goes with fuel consumption, over the less certain discretionary consumption based on households' aspirations and confidence levels. Then it talks about the impact of that, the longer term impact of the former. There are two important terms over here: former, latter. Former means the first one. In this context, a non discretionary. Latter means the second one. In this context, a discretionary. Would be worse. It is not advisable, the editorial says. Would be worse, as it also puts paid to hopes of sustainable investment pickup. Growth engines will remain throttled. An important word. Throttle has got two different meanings. One is positive, the other one is negative. Here, throttle, a device controlling the flow of fuel or power to an engine. Usually, throttle, it has a positive connotation, it goes with the movement. But the other meaning of throttle, to strangulate, to make someone suffer, and kill someone through strangulation, a completely negative connotation. Growth engines will remain throttled, they will be active rather than go full throttle. That means they cannot improve progress to a great extent towards the center's $5 trillion goal for the economy, unless, when is it possible? Unless consumption and investment bounce back. These two are very important. One is consumption, the other one investment. If these two bounce back, then it will go full throttle towards a $5 trillion goal of the center. With Wednesday's token tax, that is not a positive restrict. Constrict means restrict. So token tax cuts, namesake, token service, token tax cuts on petrol and diesel. This is the opinion of the editorial. With Wednesday's token tax cuts on petrol and diesel, the government is clearly changing track, it would have been, from narratives about the high fuel taxes funding free vaccines and welfare schemes that can only hold legs for some distance. This sentence talks about the change in the approach, here clearly changing track from narratives. There's one important word: narrative. A story or a description of a series of events. In this context, the description of, not literally, it talks about the stand taken by the central government about the high fuel taxes funding free vaccines and welfare schemes that can only hold legs for some distance. Means for some time they're going to be useful or relevant or effective. Whether this is prompted, what is the reason behind this? This is again the opinion of the editorial. Whether this is prompted by recent electoral setbacks or in anticipation of the bigger state polls ahead, it may need to follow up with more tax cuts as global prices are expected to firm up further. So it is, in a way, suggestion, and not sure about the intention behind. The editorial thinks whether this is prompted by a recent electoral setbacks. There's one word here: setback. An event that delays your progress. There was a setback. There is a setback. Setback related to electoral setbacks means elections, or in anticipation of the bigger state polls ahead. It may need to follow up with more tax cuts better, the editorial feels. As what is the reason behind that? Global prices are expected to firm up further, go up further. The urban poor have been hit the hardest by the inflation prevailing since the pandemic's onset in 2020. Now, because of the impact of the pandemic, who got badly affected? The urban poor have been hit the hardest. They had to bear the brunt by the high inflation prevailing since the pandemic's onset in 2020. How does the editorial end? They, along with the much celebrated Indian middle class, the urban, it talks about the previous sentence, urban poor, not only those, they, along with the much celebrated Indian middle class, have the highest propensity for upward spending on consumer durables, homes, two wheelers, and so on. There is another important word over here propensity means what? An inclination or natural tendency to behave in a particular way, tendency to behave in a particular way. And what is that tendency? Upward spending on, usually middle class, they spend on consumer durables, homes, two wheelers, and so on. And how does the editorial end? Beyond a point, people would also like to be self reliant, just as a nation aspires to be. Every nation wants to be self reliant. And this sentence talks about not only the nations, individuals also. Beyond a point, people would also like to be self reliant, just as a nation aspires to be. And that would trigger a virtuous cycle for the economy. Virtuous cycle for the economy. There's one word virtue means a good quality, and vice a bad quality. Virtuous means having or showing high moral standards, but in this context, it means something very positive, something good for the individual, something good for the economy. So that's all about the editorial and editorial related to Indian economy, recovery of Indian economy, what is required from the center, what is expected, and definitely an important editorial. Let us have a look at a few questions based on this editorial. What is this editorial about? You have to write any editorial related to economy. You have to spend a lot of time, you have to understand, and you have to write a few sentences about the editorial. There's every possibility, prelims or mains, at least one passage. If you take mains, you may have two or three passages. At least one passage you can expect related to economy, different aspects. And this year, you can expect the impact of COVID 19 on Indian economy. Based on that, what Indian economy had to go through and what is the future, whether it is on the recovery path or not. Everything should be at your fingertips. What provides some confidence that the economy has lurched back? Again, this is very important. What provides some confidence that the economy has lurched back? Keywords. What may keep GST numbers propped up? Keywords. In the context of the editorial, what has been insipid? What is the key word over here? The word insipid. What could yet dampen Rabi crop and hit farm sector growth? Something may do that. What is it? Again, easy to answer based on the keywords. Now let us see what is there to work on practice questions based on exam topics. I have already said errors, fillers, parajumble, cloze test, idioms, and editorial words. Let us start with error location. 5 questions. You got to read meticulously. Do remember, only then you can answer. Not today, the paper, the questions, I mean, quite challenging. If you get, I have brought 5 sets, that means 25. You should be very happy. Error location and fillers today quite challenging. Try to look at the sentences meticulously. About nation's economic recovery, facts and figures related to the economic recovery, and a solution for long-term growth and stability. Very good. Yes, that's very good. Who is this? Yashashvi, first one to respond. Following the center's excise duty cuts, most BJP ruled states followed suit by cutting their fuel taxes. How? By cutting their fuel taxes, ostensible. with an eye on bringing fuel rates below 100 rupees a liter. So here, ostensible is an adjective. We cannot use adjective form. This question is based on word forms. We have to use the adverb form, not adjective form. What is the adverb form of this word? Ostensibly. That is the right word. Ostensibly is a correct word, not ostensible. Please go to question number 2 and read very carefully. The meticulous reading is required only. I see a few students, they could answer immediately. That is highly appreciable. What is question number 2? Once I say there is an error over related to a particular aspect, move on, because if any other error, I would have talked about that. Where is the word? Nothing wrong with most. We cannot use a definite article over there. Just because you see the superlative form, it doesn't mean that every time we have to use a definite article there. So many patterns are there. So, question number 1, there's only one error. Ostensible, not correct. It should be ostensibly. Answer for question number 2. The managing director said that the corporation had been receiving several requests from students in connection to the starting or restoring bus services after lockdown had been lifted. Yes, here in connection to is not correct. It should be in connection with. There is a standard phrase in connection with, not to. And which phrase is this? Prepositional. Prepositional phrase. The question is based on prepositional phrase. In connection with. In connection to is not correct. A woman farm laborer was killed and 15 others injured after the tractor trolley they were traveling overturned at Vallabhi village in Madigonda Mandal in Khammam on Wednesday morning. That's right. You guys got it right. Very good. And it is indeed related to prepositional phrases. A woman farm laborer was killed and 15 others injured after the tractor trolley they were traveling overturned. I see one or two students say B, but what is wrong here? You have to read the editorials and newspaper headlines, then you can master. Besides, you have to read a book usually available in the market, English for competitive exams. There you come across a list of important prepositional combinations. That is like learning in isolation, but if you read the Hindu editorials and newspaper headlines, same prepositional combinations they give in the exam. There is an error in the uh, second part, that is B. Not easy, this one. A woman farm laborer was killed and 15 others injured after the tractor trolley they were traveling in. You have to use a preposition in. Without in, it is not correct. Traveling, traveling in. In has to be there. Only then it is correct. They were traveling in. Sometimes we get a preposition at the end of the clause. The book you're looking for is in the library. You're looking for. The person you're talking to is my friend. You're talking to. At the end of the clause, you get a preposition. This is very important. Here itself, it is not easy. Imagine same question in the exam. Very difficult to spot the error. They were traveling in. They were traveling is a clause. At the end of the clause, you have to use a preposition in. I hope you guys got it. This is quite difficult, not easy. And do remember preposition. What is this about preposition at the end of a clause? What is a clause here? They were traveling. At the end of the clause, we have to use the person you're looking for is my friend. Were injured is understood, Raj. That's a very good question. Were injured, that is understood. Nothing wrong over there. Please go to question number 4. Acting on a tip off, a police team has been deployed for patrolling to keep a tab on the movement of suspicious elements in the early hours of the day. This is not that difficult. Have been, no, not correct. Team is a collective noun. It always takes a singular verb. That you don't have to focus on. That is not the error. But there is an error in the second part. Here it talks about deployed. That is one thing. In the early hours of the day, in the early hours of the day, it goes into the past. Here we cannot use present perfect in passive voice. We have to use a past tense in passive voice. They deployed active voice past tense. Something was deployed by them passive voice past tense. Acting on a tip off, a police team was deployed. Team collective noun, it takes a singular verb. A police team was deployed for patrolling to keep a tab on the movement of suspicious elements in the early hours of the day. I always tell students when you read a sentence, always look for the time phrase. Once you focus on the time phrase, it becomes so easy to spot the error. What is the time phrase over here? In the early hours of the day. It is understood it goes into the past. This time phrase goes into the past. Based on that, here we have to use past tense, not present perfect, not past perfect. Past tense in passive voice. They deployed something, something was deployed. They deployed the team was deployed. So the team is collective noun. Collective nouns usually take a singular verb, but if the sentence talks about a division, then we have to use a plural verb. Here there's no division. The team was deployed, and this is what past tense. Why should we use past tense? Because in the early hours of the day goes into the past and passive voice, obviously. Please go to question number 5. If the apex court's directions are implemented in word and spirit, literally all the station house officers in the city will have to be held liable for contempt of court. No one has responded. What is wrong with the first part, second part, third part? I see all options. If the apex court's directions, nothing wrong, are implemented. Whenever you see the word if, you got to be alert. Are implemented, it is in present, in word and spirit. Literally, all the station house officers in the city will have to be held. Here, you should understand this is a conditional. Which conditional? Oh, deep thinker, that's very good. Pritham, very good. Kiran Kumar, very good. And Shankar, I appreciate. So whenever you see the word if, you have to think of conditionals. Here, Will have to be held. Will, it talks about future, have to be a helping verb, have to or has to, which expresses an obligation imposed by an external authority or a situation. Nothing wrong with that. So if clause is in present and main clause is in future, liable for contempt of court, a standard phrase. Nothing wrong here. Answer is no error. I appreciate all those students, Varaprasad and so many others. Wonderful. A sentence like this, if you can make out and tell there is no error, you're really good at English. You're ready for the exam. Not easy under pressure. No, no, will have to be held. No need to use would. Perfect. Here are implemented present tense, if clause, and will be held future, will have to be held future. Based on that, this is which conditional is this? The sentence has been used, the writer has used open conditional. Open conditional, if clause present tense, main clause future. Perfect, no problem. Answer is no error. Not easy, not at all easy. Now look at the fillers, a bit challenging. Let's see how who has got all the five correct error location. I would like to know. No need to. That is will have to be. Why should you? Will have to. Will have to be held. That is passive. They will be held. You can use in active voice or passive voice, but the tense should be in future. Prepositional errors are very difficult. Five is pretty good. Deep thinker. Choose the correct word. Two, four, five, three also. One, four. He also youngsters to light rockets in a glass bottle filled with water, at least to one-third level so that it stays stable. No problem. Here, requested you can consider order grammatically not correct, ordered, warned grammatically not correct. Now, requested or urged. This goes with, that's very good. I appreciate your response. Three, four, you should be happy. Others, nothing to worry. Slowly, you will be able to improve. What is the difference between requested and urged? Both mean the same, but this is a formal expression, formal, and this is informal. Sometimes formal also we use, but between the two, which is a better word, I have been telling you guys, whenever you come across synonyms, quite often they do that. One word, they are synonyms, one goes with informal English, the other goes with formal English. Always choose the one that goes with the formal English. Based on that, answer is a fourth option, urged. He also urged youngsters to light rockets. Very good. I appreciate that. Always go for the effective word. Majority of the 180 large vehicles and 138 bike fire engines will be stationed at strategic locations chosen. I should have used here with the local police, especially where cracker stalls are located. Yes, formal English urge is used. From where you got cancer, Santosh Kumar? Yes. Second one, please mention the question number. Majority of the 180 large vehicles and 138 bike fire engines will be stationed at strategic locations chosen with the local police uh, at random, at you don't see. At the same time, in tandem, both mean the same. Alongside, all the three synonyms, they all mean the same. Alongside, at the same time, in tandem, together, exactly. So, which goes with effective English, obviously, in tandem. Based on that, you have to choose in tandem. Answer is the second option. Always go for the one that goes with effective English. that you have to remember at any cost. Far away from the madding crowd, a relatively village of Modi, name of the village is Modi, in Adilabad district comes alive thanks to the traditional and century old Gusadi tribal dance, they said. In tandem with, it takes a preposition with, even that you have to remember. Ambiguous village, look at the word after the blank, understand the context, and based on grammar knowledge, contextual awareness, and also vocabulary, you have to choose the right option. Today's editorial is definitely quite challenging, and you have to spend some time to understand. You need a bit of information, background information that goes with Indian economy. Only then you can relate. Yashashvi, please don't mention that all these are from the Hindu paper majority, and today's paper not practically possible. Editorial I can get same day's paper by 7 o'clock in the morning. Please don't mention that quite often. Today's paper, yesterday's paper. There is no need to talk about the source. I hope you got it, Yashashvi. Please understand. Don't reveal the source. Just focus on the question and try to get the correct word. So, what is far away from madding crowd? Relatively controversial? No, no, no. How come? You all have the same wavelength. No. Far away from the madding crowd. What is the clue for you? Far away from means isolated, aloof, a relatively ambiguous village. Village, we don't use the word ambiguous. Thank you, Yashashvi. I hope you understand. Fine. Here, popular village. Villages cannot be very popular. Far away from the madding crowd, again, cannot be popular. Goes against the context. Why will it be controversial? Nothing to do with controversy. Here, the word controversy does not come into picture. The answer, fourth option, obscure. Obscure means what? Not known. Obscure place, obscure writer. Opposite is popular. Popular writer, popular place, popular hill station, obscure hill station, obscure writer, obscure artist. So the correct word is obscure. Yes. Comes alive. Yes, another key word. Contextual awareness, very important. Please go to question number 4. This is a little tricky. The tribals are dressed in colorful costumes and decorated with ornaments visit the neighboring villages in singing and dancing. Excuse me. Obscure means not clear. Ramesh, obscure is opposite of not clear, clear, opposite of clear, popular, unknown, anonymous, not known to many people, obscure artist, obscure hill station. Who is this? Kiran Kumar, very good. First one. Suma Yadav also. That's wonderful. I really appreciate those who have chosen. Here, there's a clue for you. What is a clue? The tribals means a group of people dressed in colorful costumes and decorated with ornaments visit the neighboring villages in singing and dancing. A group of people go from one place to another place where the intention, they are artists, they want to sing and dance. Then we don't use the word troops, and we don't use the word group. That's a general term. We don't use the word bands. What is the right word over here? TROUPES. Troops, this goes with singing and dancing. A group of people who sing and dance and they travel one place to another place. Answer is the third option. I really appreciate those students who have chosen the third option. It is not that easy. Please go to question number 5. This is easy. We have got many a time. This is based on confusing verbs. It has been a rough ride for all the restaurants, considering the steady what? In most of the raw materials, troops, TROOPS, that goes with army, soldiers, and TROUPES, that goes with artists, singers, and dancers. That's what I've just answered. I've just answered. Please go to the last one. This is, you have got many a time. This is based on confusing verbs. There are two verbs. One is rise, the other one is raise. Rise, an intransitive verb, and also irregular verb, rise, rose, risen. Military troops, exactly. Raise, it goes with, it's a transitive verb and also a regular verb, raise, raised, raised. Here, it has been a rough ride for all the restaurants considering the steady in most of the raw materials. Then you have to talk about, it is talking about going up. Based on that, it is a rise, not raise, not rose, not raised. Answer is the first option. This is rather easy based on confusing verbs. Now you please go to para jumble. If you get the first one, it is easy. If you don't get the first one correct, then it's gone off the track. And always try to take elimination approach. Based on that, you can get the first sentence. Then at least you can bring down the number, the choice. The fifth generation mobile, the technology. You cannot use this one as a first one. Thus should be the last one or cannot be the first one. You have to decide between A, B, C, one of the three potential to be they have the chances to be the first one. 1B, 1A. Answer is 1A. A is the first one. It talks about the fifth generation mobile network. What is this about? This is about the fifth generation mobile network. The fifth generation mobile network or 5G is the next level of mobile network that will shape the fourth industrial revolution. After that, it is easy. Second one is very easy. Should not be a problem. What is the second sentence? Here there is a comma and it is not complete. It talks about will shape, make an impact on the fourth industrial revolution. No, 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 not C. Yes, Ravikant. F is the next one. Or Industrial 4.0, that is fourth industrial revolution. These two are connected. A and F are connected, one pair. Will shape the fourth industrial revolution or Industrial 4.0, quality of service delivery, innovation, all these. No, no. AF. See, fourth industrial revolution and industrial 4, these are related, or the other one, or AF. After that, what? Commercial 5G networks began to be deployed in 2020, are expected to reach 12% of world mobile connections and generate revenues up to additional information, generate. They began to be deployed in 2020 and expected to reach and expected to generate. Based on that, BD1 group, BD one pair, AF one pair. After that, it is easy. The technology that 5G uses will improve data transfer speed, at unexpected higher levels, almost 100 times more, and reduce latency times, helping mission critical services. C is the last button. Thus, 5G is essential, but are we ready for it? It ends on a question. AF Suma Yadav has got it right. I don't know how many of you. I appreciate all those students. AF one pair, BD one pair. This is independent. This is the last one. Please go to here. You have a short passage, but 8 important words. You have to choose the right word and try to answer. By facilitating smarter and developing societies, not with by Kiran Kumar, continuation or industrial 4.0, quality of service and delivery innovation, etc., by facilitating smarter and developing societies. Full stop. Have you seen that? Continuation is there. It is often alleged. So, third one, alleged, I will tick the word so that there won't be any confusion. It is often alleged that false cases of cruelty are registered by the police at the alleged that you got it right. What is the second one? Yes, you have noticed Kiran Kumar. I was a bit surprised. I was taken aback. How come? It can't be. 2-8. Very good. At the behest. Here, at the behest means based on the orders, based on the command of the, based on someone's orders, based on someone's command. At the behest of the, very good. We got two blanks filled. That's wonderful. Behest of the. There is a word here, wife. It's a noun. Before that, you need an adjective. Seven, not seven. Outraged wife. Estranged is the right word. Fourth option. Estranged, separated. That's an important word. I have brought this because so many words important and you should understand the context. Estranged wife under section 498A of the Indian Penal Code IPC, and many innocent relatives of the husband are what? Fourth one is not seventh option. No, no, no. Estranged wife and many innocent relatives of the husband are. There is a clue for you in preposition. Roped in, very good. Who is this? Deep thinker. Roped in, or roped in over jealously. Rope in, involved. They were also taken into custody or questioned. Rope in. This section, along with section 304B on dowry deaths, was brought in to check what? Ask the question, check the easy. Misuse, exactly. To check the, not misuse, menace. Sixth one. To check the menace of increasing dowry deaths and the cruelty meted out. There is a clue for you, meted out. Here, five. Menace and meted out. to married women by the in-laws in 1983. Not misuse, menace, and meted out. Yes. The last sentence, but it's what? Misuse. Here we have to use misuse, but its misuse has outraged. We have to use the word outraged. No, no. Misuse. After that, you have to use meted out to married women. Outraged. Has anyone got all correct? Yashashvi says, very good, Yashashvi. I appreciate. I haven't given enough time and not easy because a very short paragraph, so many blanks, so many important words, quite difficult in my opinion. But getting all the eight correct, that's highly appreciable. Now let us go to quickly. We have only 4 minutes. In black and white, these idioms are very important. Very good, Sai Arvind. I appreciate. Seven is also pretty good. Please go to Pritham. Wonderful. Please go to the idioms. Seven, Surya, good. Very good. Please go to. You should be very happy. What is the answer? These idioms are very important. Exam point of view. In black and white. At the time of a contract, at the time of an agreement, we say, I want whatever you say, I want in black and white. Means what? In writing. Black and white. In black and white means in writing. To angle. In, in writing. The terms and conditions you want in writing, then you say, I want it in black and white. What is the meaning of the next idiom? To angle. This is a bit difficult. Please go to the second one. Naresh, good morning. We are about to wind up the session at the fag end of the session. It means to fish. Answer is the third one. Very good. I appreciate those who have got it right. Angling means fishing. It's a very popular sport in the US and in Europe. Angling, fishing, fishing with a rod. They use a rod, and here there's a bait. This is used for fishing. To hail from, what is the meaning? Better late than never. Exactly. Come from. He hails from means what? He comes from a particular place. A shot in the dark. What is the meaning of a shot in the dark? No one has gone to the fourth one. An attempt to guess something. Very good. To love to go out, not correct. Answer is the fourth option. That's right. And the last one, someone is under a cloud. What does it mean? Wild guess. Guess, wild guess. Someone is, it goes with persons. He is under a cloud. She is under a cloud. The politician is under a cloud. Yes, Raviteja. Raviteja, after a long time, I suppose. Under suspicion. Exactly. Answer is no, no, no. Under a crowd means under suspicion. Answer is the third option, not the second option, not under pressure, under suspicion. Please answer quickly. Don't bother. Don't worry about it's already 8. I will write the part of speech. You tell the meaning. Fragile, adjective. What does it mean? We have got many a time the word fragile, brittle, adjective. All 5 correct. That's very good. 1 1. B. Fragile means what? Delicate. Answer is I. Oh, you mean to say I. That's right. Virtuous, adjective. What does it mean? Showing high moral standards, something very positive. Answer is E. Lurch, it's a regular verb, easy to make out verb. And what does it mean? An abrupt movement, come back to a different position. Here it is F. Healing. Heal is a verb, and oh, that's good. Glad to know that. Virtues and vices, very good, Kiran Kumar. It's always better to recollect. What is the answer? Healing, becoming healthy again. Usually it goes with a wound. Wound gets healed. Sudden tilt, yes, that is also right. Afflict, a verb, afflicted. Cause pain, causing pain. G is the answer. Trajectory, noun. It goes more with physics, satellite movement, path. 6, yes, A, path. Surge, it's a verb, it's a regular verb. Surge, surged, surged. Means what? Sudden increase or sudden forward movement. It goes with the waves, it goes with people, it goes with COVID cases. We have seen many a time. Numbers, prices, all these. Shed, a verb. What is the answer? Eighth one. J, get rid of. Yes. Insipid, insipid form, adjective. B, weak or tasteless. Dampen, dampened, damp adjective, dampen verb. So what does it mean? What are you left with? Make less strong or severe. Dampen the spirit. Usual expression. That's all for today. Thanks for being with me till 8. Have a nice day. And do remember to subscribe and share. After the session, I'll provide the PDF, try to work on important questions. And also do remember the Telegram group. Some students say, sir, it doesn't work. It works. Every day, so many students join. It seems it doesn't work on mobile. It works on laptop. If you cannot do that, if it doesn't work in your case, please message me. I will try to add. I have been doing it. A few students have responded. I have added